Good evening, everyone. This is Ambuj Saxena from Social Buzz e-learning, and today I'm here with you with a very special guest, an entrepreneur, a billionaire from USA, Stephanie Mearse. Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
So, Stephanie is a published author, motivational speaker, radio show, and podcast. She has worked with Desert Capital Management Group as vice president since 2014. Stephanie has a BA in business management and an MBA in business management from University of Phoenix. She has been a professional in marketing for over 15 years. In 2014, 15, 16, 17, and 18, she received the company's top performer award for her commitment to excellence and outstanding performance. As as a published author of Women of Perfection, Perfectly Imperfect, she talks about how in today's society, women are expected to be perfect with Pinterest and social media. But the reality is, we are killing ourselves with the need of obtaining this perfection. In the book, it speaks to what is the cause of this need for perfection and how we can overcome these boundaries and fears to become who we dream to be. As a speaker, she speaks to women and men about breaking out of these fears and boundaries and achieve goals. Stephanie also has a radio talk show on Sacramento's Money 105.5 as well as a podcast, Empower Hour, on Spotify. Stephanie is a co-founder of Empower R, women's networking group, and helps women and children off the streets. In her personal life, Stephanie is dedicated to her family, friends, and church. She is actively involved in Rotary Club, the Women's Thursday Club, and her local Chamber of Commerce. Plus, she was a recent finalist for a local honorary mayor position. Married with a young son and daughter, Stephanie is passionate about impacting the lives of others and helping those she meets to achieve both their professional and personal goals. So, Stephanie, congratulations, and I'm glad to have you here. Stephanie, you do a lot of things, you don a lot of hats, you do so many things. I would like to know a little bit about your growing up years and how your childhood was and what were your lessons in that time.
Absolutely. So as a child, unfortunately, I ended up growing up on the streets. I lived on the streets with my drug addicted mother. My father had abandoned us at a very young age. And so I had saw everything from gang violence to sex trafficking to lots of drug stuff all around me. I mean, I saw a lot of really bad things when I was a child. At 7.5, I decided, I watched a Hallmark movie. Do you guys watch Hallmark movies in India?
Yeah.
I'm assuming yes, right? Yeah. I love Hallmark movies. So I watched some kind of a Hallmark movie or something. And I remember thinking, I want that life when I was 7.5. I totally was like, I want that life right there. So that's what I did. I called my grandmother and was like, Grandma, I don't want to be in this life anymore. Like, this is pretty terrible. I don't think you really realize how bad this is. Called my grandma, told her what happened, and she immediately picked us up, which was really a great thing because my mother didn't even come find us for 6 months. So we would have been on the streets literally by ourselves, me and my sister, for 6 months to find out. So that was really a good thing that I called because we had been on the streets for a couple months without her. And so so I called my grandmother, she came and got us, and then shortly after that, we were adopted by my aunt and uncle, who had a place to live and food to eat, and being able to take a shower is like an amazing thing when you don't get a chance to do that. So it was quite a different life than I had been used to. And so, and it's so funny, it seems like such a basic thing now, right? So, oh, I have a place to live. Well, that seems pretty basic. Like, that seems pretty normal. Or like, hey, I have food in the fridge. Wow, that's pretty normal too, right? But when you don't have those things, It's amazing how those are they're vital, they're important. And so when we had that stability finally in my, in a household with with an aunt and uncle who loved us and didn't sex traffic us or do anything weird, right? It was like a normal life all of a sudden. And it was like, wow, we hit the jackpot. Like, this is amazing. We have enough food. And I mean, it was just amazing. And we even had our own rooms. We had never had our own rooms before. I was so excited. And so it's amazing how at 7.5 years old, I decided to testify. Oh, actually, it was about 8. I testified against my mother in court because she had put us through so much bad stuff, but she was still trying to get us because she was getting money from us, right? From me and my sister, in different ways. And so one of the things that I noticed is, how many, I look now and I'm like, okay, I have an 11-year-old son, and there's no way he would mentally be like, okay, comfortable testifying against anyone in court, more or less as me, But at 8 years old, I testified against my mother because she was doing such bad stuff, like really genuinely bad stuff. And so, and it was only so I could live with my aunt and uncle, not for any other reasons other than just to get out of the situation. So what I learned at a very young age is mindset is extremely, extremely important. I saw what I didn't like, and I saw what I did like, and I went the direction of the way that I liked. It's that simple. It was that simple at 7. It's that simple at 37. If I don't like something and I see something I don't like now, I head the right direction and try to improve consistently to go that direction in the positive way, because it's that simple. People like to make it more difficult. Like same with a lot of people say, well, I need to lose this weight and I've needed to do it for 20 years. And, and I'm negative and all this stuff, but I see the positive, but I refuse to do anything to go toward the positive. You're always going to be in the negative then, right? So just head that direction, head toward the positivity. So that's what I did at 7.5, 8 years old, and have kind of head that direction ever since. And I'm far from perfect. That's why my book is called Perfectly Imperfect, right? But it is all about, making that right choice, having the right mindset, and then setting goals and heading that direction.
That's wonderful, Stephanie. In fact, what I realized is that your childhood was not the most ordinary childhood. It was very extraordinary. But I feel that what you've done in the years, in 30 years, apart from after 7.5 years of age, is quite incredible. Like you have donned multiple hats, you have done multiple things, and you have actually ran at pace that is unbelievable. So what is the thing that triggers you to do all these things? What is the drive inside you? What is that core thing that drives you for all these things?
So the biggest driver for me is I want to help this world. I want to be a light in this world. I want to help people, and I genuinely care about people. I genuinely want to meet somebody and say, how can I help you? And not just say it so I can get money from you, because I don't even need money. Like, fine, whatever, do it for free. But what I do care about is, how is that person doing genuinely? How can I genuinely help? And that is very rare for people to have that genuine want to help situation, right? Without there being money tagged to it, right? So my drive is to genuinely help people. And it's amazing how that genuine help has turned into businesses left and right, because people can see that it's not about the money. It's not about the bottom line. It's not about the sell. It's about, how is that person really being helped in the way that they need to be helped? And there's so many different facets of that. The other thing that I've also really been said about is I love to follow success. And what I mean by that is I find the people that are successful, like somebody I really love and adore is Tony Robbins. Absolutely love him. He literally came from nothing too and turned himself into something, right? And so, and he's got a few years on me. So he knows what he's done, the successful thing. He's taken paths. He's done all these things. And all you have to do is follow success. See what people that are successful are doing, and then find their successes and follow it. It's that simple. And it's amazing because it works. It really does work. And yes, you're going to have things where you fall on your butt, and there's going to be times where you're like, oh my gosh, why did I do it that way instead of this way? But the reality is if you just take 2 steps forward, but you take 1 step back, you still took 1 step forward. Yeah. Every single time you're still progressing in some shape or form. So my biggest drive is helping people, but with a complete and utter genuine heart.
Yeah. And that turns into business, as you said. So you are running a lot of businesses. You have your own, you are the vice president of a company, and you are seeing so much of money being transacted. You are helping out people, doing so many things. So Stephanie, that one thing that you like doing the most, that anybody can actually wake you up in the middle of the night and ask you to do, and you'll do it. That one thing. apart from all these things? Which is that one thing that you can do at any time?
Talk to people. I love talking to people, and I make money talking to people all day. Like, I love it. I do. I love talking to people, getting to know people I've never met before. I love being in a room of 100 people and literally meeting every single person. It makes me so happy, and it energizes me because I'm an extreme extrovert. I don't know if you've noticed yet, but I'm an extreme extrovert. So the more I can get out and talk to people, the more energy I have, the more, and it's like, I already have a lot of energy as it is. So when I'm in a crowd, it's like even more so, and it's wonderful. And I love it. But what's really great is in every single aspect of every business I'm in, I have to talk to people. Yeah. And that's how I make money in every single one of them. So that's what I love doing, genuinely love doing.
So, but Stephanie, when you say that you're an extrovert, which I can detect, but with being an extrovert, there also comes the feeling of receiving external validation for whatever you want. Right? An extrovert, if he or she does not get the right vibes from somebody who he or she is talking to, the vibes come down a little bit. So does that happen to you as well? That when you meet people and the responses are not so good, does it dampen your spirits a bit? But you tend to lift yourself up again and still start working. How does it happen?
Yeah. So I love that question. I've never been asked that question before. Okay. So actually, I have an interesting response to that. Okay. So something I've noticed, because I am so high energy. I mean, like, this is me with only one coffee. A lot of energy. Okay. So when I meet somebody who's much more low energy and quieter, and just, you have to replicate those people when you're around them. It's a sales technique as well. So I'm sure you've heard that, where if you see somebody and they're like really high energy and like talking to you up front, you should be mimicking them to where they feel comfortable. Right? We're not necessarily mimicking them. You're just making sure that you're making them comfortable. That makes their energy flow with your energy, basically. Right? So if I go into a building, I'm going to be myself 100%. Okay. This is me. However, if I'm surrounded by people that are lower energy, I will intentionally take mine down a couple notches at least, and just kind of let that flow and let the energy continue to flow the way it needs to flow. That doesn't mean I'm changing who I am. I still have my stories. I still am who I am. But if I go in there with full blown energy, it's going to freak out everybody else around me. And then that negative energy comes toward me, and it's not a good feeling. And I don't want that. So I just make sure that I replicate the room properly to where that energy continues to flow. And it's a seriously amazing technique, sales technique, but also just a good technique to have in general when you're trying to make new friends, or you're trying to meet a new husband or wife or relationship. Having just that basic level of understanding of energy and flow and introvert versus extrovert, and all of that, it's amazing how much further you'll go because you're elevating yourself to a different level.
That's right. So Stephanie, you are also a speaker, and that to a motivation speaker. So how does the dynamics work for you when you go out and talk to people of varying energies? Like right now, you were telling me that if there's energy low, I'll put it down myself a couple of notches lower. But then if there's a room that is full of mixed level of energies, there's somebody who's youthful, somebody who's loud, somebody who's like into his own world. Then how do you balance the entire macro level of energy in the room? How do you plan to do that?
Absolutely. So one of the things, so there's two completely different situations here. Okay. So if you're getting up in front of a room and speaking in front of thousands of people, you want to get up there with energy, with flow, with the more energy you have in front of a room, the more people are going to be drawn to you no matter what their energy is, because you're in front of that room, because you're the speaker. You're not trying to relate to that person individually. Completely different. That's like the Tony Robbins thing. He comes in massively energy, right? He's got this massive energy that everybody is drawn to. right? So that is completely different than going into a room to network. So you'll notice in a networking group, when you're in a room full of hundreds of people, you'll notice that in networking groups, typically, very typically, not always, but typically, you'll see energy, certain energies in different groups. So you'll see, you'll walk into a room and you'll feel, oh, wow, this person has this group over here. Energy tends to flow in the same direction. Groups of people that are similar in energy tend to kind of not lump themselves together per se, but just rather tend to navigate toward each other, okay? So whenever you're in that group of people, you can kind of feel and say, hey, that person's energy, that group of energy over here is really low or a little lower. Okay, cool, I can take myself over there, talk to these people for 15, 20 minutes and take that energy down a couple notches, and then stop, look at the room again, reevaluate. Okay, so this one over here has a higher energy. Okay, elevate our energy a couple more levels. Again, the more you can read that room, the more successful you'll be in a networking situation. In a speaking situation, you have to go in there full blown, full of energy, 100% you, or you're not going to have the crowd like you want to.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I'll just put in the last question, that you are leading a beautiful life. I can realize that you are a source of inspiration for many people. I'm sure in your circle you would be followed by a lot of people, and your children also would be following you, driving inspiration from you. That one lesson that you would like to give to any entrepreneur, any person who's probably struggling to reach his full potential, any one tip that you would want to give that person, regardless of what that state of business is, what would that one tip be?
Absolutely. I think the biggest one right now, especially, is adversity creates opportunity. And why I'm saying that right now is because of the complete and utter crazy that the world is in right now. The entire world is in due to the COVID virus and just everything. I mean, I don't even have to list everything. Everybody knows that the world right now is in adversity, right? And so so you can either handle that adversity as a leader and say, okay, so I can't handle this right now. I'm going to dwindle back and like try to figure out a different way of doing things, but I don't want to deal with any of it. Or you can jump in and create new opportunities from that adversity. And I'm not saying taking advantage of a situation. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying instead of cowering back in fear, pushing through that fear, because we're going to still have that fear, pushing through that fear and creating new opportunities, new ways of money, new ways of mental capacities, new ways of anything that you can think of, and really creating yourself into a whole different level. Honestly, 4 months ago, I was basically kind of going through this self-discovery of how do I get to new levels, because I was in the hospital and was like, I need to figure out a new way of getting into new levels that is not going to make me exhausted all the time. And it's amazing because within a couple of weeks, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing more podcasts. I'm doing more summits. I'm going to do all these different things. And it's amazing because just since that happened, I've been in so many summits and podcasts, and my energy that it takes is like this. Whereas before my energy was everything was taking my energy like massively. And so now I have all this crazy amount of energy, even more so than ever before. And I'm doing more than I ever did before too, because I use that adversity to create new opportunities. So that's mine.
Perfect. So any trends that you notice in the post-COVID era, like what sort of companies or sectors will take a boom in the months to come? Any predictions on that?
Oh, wow. Are you talking about the stock market?
Yeah, stock market. Yes, stock market. Which sort of companies will actually gain a lot? Maybe.
Yeah. So there's a lot of hearsay right now. So so each election, no matter what it is in the United States, there's going to be one bull market and one bear market, no matter what. Okay. It doesn't matter. It depends on which way the election goes. And I'm not talking political because I don't want to make people upset. Okay. But I am saying in general that typically, for example, when Trump was elected, defense stocks went up because he went into defense, right? Or when Obama got elected, his medical stocks started going up because he was going toward the medical. So it's all about going toward that money goes. So right this moment, with everything that's happened in the world, there's going to be a very interesting and difficult time coming ahead of us because there were so many people out of work for such a long time. So that's just a reality. Okay. However, I do genuinely believe in this world, we're meant to get to the next level as a person and as people. And I don't think that this is something that is going to take down the entire world's economies and everything else. I genuinely believe we as people can elevate ourselves and go from that adversity to create opportunity as a world. So as stocks and as companies, it can go anywhere right this moment. It genuinely can. And our company has great stock picks and great companies that we do believe is going to go up. But again, that depends 100% on the elections. And we have to go off of where the money, wherever money goes, we go with it usually.
Yeah. That's wonderful, Stephanie. I think it was wonderful talking to you. It was wonderful to have you on the show. And I'm sure that my community and on Social Buzz e-learning will benefit a lot from your words of wisdom, your growth mindset, and the fact that you have actually built many, many things from scratch to the level where they are, and you have enthusiasm all flowing out. So I think that's wonderful. And so thank you so much, Stephanie, for being on the podcast and vlog. We shall keep you updated when we upload the vlog and podcast. Until then, I bid adieu to you and our community at Social Buzz e-learning. Bye-bye. Take care and keep updated for more digital marketing updates with Social Buzz e-learning.